Hi, good morning everyone. How are you? I thought today we were going to talk about a rather big subject and why it affects the world we live in today. So I'll start at the beginning. Let's talk about the Basque people. And they live in Spain, on the top of Spain, near France. There is a group of people who carry the highest Rh negative blood in the world. And then we have to look into why, because it just kind of appeared on the scene. And what's this all about? So here we go. There were a group of beings who had let themselves digress to such a level that the Archon infiltrated them and negativity became their reality. And that was a group, not all, of the Reptilians. Well, we are in a simulation, and this simulation is designed to get you out in levels. So, this group of reptilians that allowed AI to infest them, that became so dark with dark energy and dark negativity, and they themselves, I guess they wanted to have that too for power, and it was totally corrupting on their being, their energy being, brought them down to a most miserable, dark level. So these reptilian beings decided that in the beginning, they saw a species and they wanted to conquer them for a multiple set rules and agendas. The first thing they did was they took this species, which was us, and they remodified them and gave them the reptilian part of their brain. Well, they thought if they did this, that they would be able to manipulate and inhabit us. But the big thing was it also set in fear where we never had it before, because that part of the reptilian brain allows fear. It gives you the fight and flight, whatever, where before we just didn't have that. I did do a video on hermaphrodites. Please go watch that. And that's what we were before all of this, and before the separation of our single being. So that being said, when I looked into this, and I've been looking into it for a very long time, I realized that since the entire thing of putting a reptilian brain inside of us, the bottom half, didn't quite work out the way they wanted, they went into another step agenda. And the next one was to create the negative Rh factor blood. And then you say, well, why would they do that? Well, this negative Rh factor blood allows them to be able to penetrate the being much easier for controlling like a puppet. One of the main reasons that they never wanted the mixing of the blood, especially for the Rh negative, was to keep it in that state. Because the moment you mix positive and negative, because first off, it would be really hard to mix it because you constantly be aborting, because if your body was a negative or a positive and had been carrying a baby that was the opposite, the first thing it wants to do is miscarriage. But over time, it was accomplished to have children. Well, they didn't want this to happen because at that point, you're raising the vibration of the body again. I'm not saying that negative people are negative are negative. It's just that the frequency that you can carry is a lower frequency. So basically, it was done so the reptilians could hitch a ride, if you want to say it that, in you, controlling you, so they could get to the higher dimensions. Basically using you like a carpet ride. You are the host, and they're trying to attach like a parasite and trying to use you to get to the higher dimensions. The problem is that this simulation was designed that the energy beings would have to match that frequency, and grafting another being onto you won't allow that being to go, so it failed again miserably. This is why the Rh negative factor was done to begin with. They thought they could piggyback, hitchhike, parasite onto the human being. So basically, the body would be able to hold the lower vibration. That's why it was done. I also see that at times if somebody had died and they had resuscitated them, they may or may not come back into their body. If they chose to go forward, that means the body or the vessel is now open and a darker negative being could come in. You would call them a walk-in because of the Rh negative factor. Most of the time when people that carry the positive, no, there's nothing to be walking into. No. The only other time there are walk-ins is if you've had an agreement before you came in, and then you could do a swap and you would be about on the same vibration because the body would hold that vibration. So then I was looking into this and I was like, looks like they're at it again. Transhumanism is yet another reason and way that it's happening to get you onto the, or negative, I don't know how else to say that, reality where they could hitchhike onto you. If you are going to go into being transhuman, of course, you know that the Archon has infiltrated AI. It's easy to infiltrate. There's nothing really to stop it. It's AI, unfortunately. And if they can make you transhumanism, then they can lower your vibration, which they have every intention of doing. That's why it's being so pushed, so that these reptilian, dark, negative entities can go into these bodies. It's quite horrible. It's quite horrible. So I was looking around and talking to people, and I noticed that some of the people look like they're not there. So I'm guessing they're being piggybacked on and influencing the being that's in the body. Now, I was talking this morning to Campbell and Cullum, and we were watching this program of this guy. I forgot his name again. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. I'll post the guy's video in my link that I watched this morning. And he was talking about one of the police officers was not human. And I was like, well, there you go. Most likely carrying a reptilian entity inside of him. What they do is they carry their energy signature in them. It's horrible. It's not like a reptilian comes and it's inside of you, but what it'll do is, since it's in a different dimension, not all of them, some of them are in this dimension, they can go through you. It's almost like putting your arms through another person and running them. And all of a sudden you feel like you're angry or you're this or you're that, just like you're being taken over. It's really insidious. So I'm always saying, raise your vibrations. You know, the biggest weapon against these dark entities is a higher vibration. If you carry the higher vibration, they simply cannot enter into you. They cannot. They simply won't be able to match the frequency. This is why everything's being done to pull your frequency down so they can enter you. Like those demonic possessions almost. I mean, if you want to call it that, except they're not some ghosty thing. They're tangible beings. So, and then I was looking at the entire scope of everything, and I thought, you know, we really do need to stand up and say no more. People need to say no more masks, no more 6 feet apart, and start standing up for your fellow mankind. When I watched this video, it made me very upset seeing this policewoman and this policeman attacking an innocent bystander and harming him just because they could, because they were evil to the core. And you have all these people walking around and no one's doing anything. What if that were you and you need someone to help you? Everyone, we need to take responsibility for ourselves, and we need to be responsible when we see something being done and it is wrong. 10 ways to Sunday. You cannot be a bystander. You will be held accountable. And they're banking on you doing nothing. The more you comply, the more you give away. And we need to stop complying. Put down the compliance and say no more. It is enough. It is over. You will not terrorize and do tyranny any longer. So when I was looking into these Basque people, I saw that they were an experiment. So the reptilians could find their way out of the lower dimensions and then out of this simulation, which they are stuck in. And they won't be getting out, because even if you do transhumanism, it's not going to work because it's not. I mean, they keep trying and trying, and it keeps failing and failing. Why do you think every new scenario is being brought up so they can try to get out of here? And that's what it's actually really about. So definitely, everybody find who you are, go into your core, raise your vibration. Your vibration is your shield. Your vibration is your sword. Your vibration is the biggest weapon and defense you can ever have. And that's why I'm always saying, raise those vibrations. I do know that the reptilians are in my life. I do carry the RH negative factor in my bloodline. My aunt was AB negative. My mother was AB positive. There you go. I do know that my ex-husband-to-be is a O negative, and they've always been inundated with reptilians. Unfortunately, my daughters are negative too, RH factor negative. But just because you carry a body that's RH negative doesn't mean you can't raise your vibration and make that body useless to the reptilians. The moment you change your vibration, the body's useless. That's another thing. They've realized that if the being inside the body raises the vibration, the body is no longer viable. So there you go. That's another thing. So there's always an answer to every question. So if you feel like you have negative blood and some stuff's happening to you and it's always trying to keep you down and you just can't seem to raise your vibration, know that it's being done deliberately. So go against what they want and raise those vibrations and get yourself out. So I guess on that note, I'm not going to make an incredibly long video, but that kind of nutshells it. Why the agenda of transhumanism, why things happen the way they happen, why we have the negative blood to begin with, why it just appeared out of nowhere. And there it is. So, okay, everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you on my next video.